Okay, guys, I just need to make a little statement. I've had several phone calls the last week or so. I don't, we get a lot of phone calls. I don't know how proper, if it's right, if it's wrong, if anybody did it, but they are saying that some commissioner has given threats to the Boys and Girls Club that we might not give them money or take care of them anymore because of the location in the county. I don't think anybody really did it, but if you did or you said something to somebody, maybe you could go back and say that's not what I meant. I really,
Now, I've had that conversation, so I don't care to say what conversation, because I am a part of the Boys and Girls Club and have been since 2015. So I said when things you get in the middle between political issues and the county, you run the risk of losing that support, and that's 100% true. And that's why we, as the Boys and Girls Club, is not associated with county local politics. We want to serve everyone and not get in the middle of things. Biosolids, county issue, Boys and Girls Club is not. So that's what I said. I didn't say we wasn't gonna keep funding, because I will always vote to support the club. 100%, that's what I do. So that's what I said. So if it was twisted, this is the word out of my mouth, is that when you get in the middle of something like that, you run the risk. And I needed them to understand that that's how it is.
and that's why I said that, because sometimes what we say gets twisted in
It does.
several different ways.
Because I can't be the whole vote getter. There's 10 people here, and you have to have a majority vote.
Well, and I
to
feel
get
like
the
the
money.
board made the
So-
decision they felt like they needed to make, and we need to say, okay, that's, you made your decision, we're gonna support you.
And that's where I try to say it's a separate entity. So that's where I was at.
All right. Commissioner Pippinger has wanted to ask us to move the announcements and statements to the beginning. So what you got?
It's just in the interest of time, we have a couple of people here, and Miss, and I'm gonna get the last name wrong, Koss, is here, and she was wanting to speak on one of the agenda items,
Okay.
prior to coming up to the vote.
Okay.
And the way it's kind of set up, and I know we have a lot of people here, I think we're dealing with that one item, so it might be a time set.
Okay.
Entertaining.
All right. Is that good with everybody?
One might have to do it at the end of the meeting too, something might come up during the meeting,
True.
somebody wants to talk about it, besides that.
Would you like to go ahead?
Mary, do you want to say that, please?
So we can hear you too. Can you talk kind of low?
May my statement is brief. Before I begin, I have some handouts for the commission and the commission body. This is, what I'm handing out to everybody here is information about our association, which is the Tennessee Home Education Association, and also a copy of the homeschool TCA code that we operate under in Tennessee, which is 49 dash 50 dash, or 49 dash 6750. My name is Kelly Couch. My husband and I are the chapter presidents for MIDI-SIA, which covers Polk County, McMinn, Monroe, and Meigs County. And so this is just a little information so that you can be acquainted with who we are. And also there's, my card is on the front of this paperwork as well, in case you have any questions you'd like to ask me. Anything about our association. We've been around since 1984. We are the homeschooling advocacy organization. We work with our state legislators and build relationships with the legislators. We monitor bills that are coming out of the education committees of both the House and the Senate, and it's all to protect the rights of homeschoolers to be able to educate their children at home around a kitchen table as they study. We pay very close attention to what's going on also in the Department of Education with the rules and regulations. We have one of our chapter presidents, there's 8 chapters across the state. One of our chapter presidents also sits on this council, which is the Non-Public School Advisory Council. Those are seats that are appointed by the state, and it's a blessing to have a homeschool authority on that council, because then they are able to have a voice for us as well. Because anything that comes out of the Department of Education with rules and regulations, that's a policy, and that's not a legislative change. So I'm here tonight because the work that we do represents all homeschooling families across the state of Tennessee, whether those families are members or of TIA or not. And about a week ago, I received an email in my inbox, along with countless other of my members in our chapter, along with our state president in Nashville. And we were all extremely concerned. I received several text messages, several emails, and phone calls asking what's going on. We have a problem. And the problem is that, and I do not mean to malign anybody who's here today, but there's just countless factual inaccuracies held within this email. And the email is containing information, and they want you to vote on the resolution. And I'm going to very quickly just explain to you a few of these inaccuracies so that, you know, this is up to y'all here in this county whether you want to vote on the resolution for homeschool sanctuary or not. I'm not sure that it would do a lot of good for you because, quite frankly, you can't supersede what Tennessee state law is. And I'm going to ask or advise that it's not necessary for you to vote on this resolution. But essentially, there's claims that our Tennessee code, or TCA, for homeschooling has been legally reduced from 3 options to 2. That is not correct. As you can see in the citation that I have put out for you, it is 3 options. It has been since 1985, when homeschooling became legal in Tennessee. It is still that way. That did not change last year, and there's no threat to that at all. At least not now. Now, it is correct that last year we were fighting House Bill 1214, Senate Bill 1194. It's the 2nd year of our legislative session, so that wording could come back up. We might be fighting that bill again, but that's what we're watching. And yes, it is true that there is a hybrid charter school option that the committee, the Representative White, and who carried it for Karen Sexton, wanted to put into our law. They wanted to open up the homeschool law, which, like I said, currently has 3 options, homeschool in Tennessee, and make it a 4th option. And that was going to put a publicly funded hybrid charter school into our TCA code right here. And that was going to cause a lot of problems with mixing public school funding into homeschooling arena. It also was going to cause problems with your LEAs across the state because, yes, it is true, they were going to give the Charter School Commission the power to supersede what LEAs say yes or no. If they want to have charter schools come into their school districts, and also if they want to have something called a boarding school, which is separate from the hybrid charter schools, that would be year-round boarding schools. Those are the things that we were fighting back with this legislation this last year, and that we're watching for again this year. But that did not go through. So currently, we are still at 3 options homeschool, and those are safe and sound. We are not under attack. Okay? I just want to make that very clear. There is an issue that came out this summer that it came to light that our hours for category 4 church-related schools changed from 6.5 or 4 hours to 6.5 hours. Technically, that change would have happened way back in at least 2010 or 2011. The reason why it was not known until just recently is because even though the Department of Education changed that, the rules and regulations were not updated until this year. And what they want to do is they want to make it to where the umbrella schools, which are private, like I said, the church-related schools, that is what most homeschoolers operate under. I'd say 90% of homeschoolers, not even just in Tennessee, but across the state or the whole country, choose umbrella schools for very good reasons. But the reason why it was changed from 4 hours to 6.5 and way back, at least a decade ago, is because they wanted to have the actual instructional hours match the public schools. That, along with many other issues or policy changes, were not updated in the system. They went through this summer and they did that. Unfortunately, there was not like a prior press release, and so when all this information came out, all the umbrella schools were getting hit with this news at the same time. Our HSLDA, which is Homeschool Legal Defense Association, our team of attorneys across the state, we have one in Science, Tennessee. They were asked, well, why didn't you know about this? Why weren't you on top of this? We were asked the same question. And the reason why is because it's not a legislative change. It's a policy change. And in the Department of Education with rules and regulation, they have tremendous latitude to write and rewrite policy as they desire. It does not have to go through the legislation, and in fact, it does not. So that is something, we're still looking at it, but at this point in time, we do not see that that's something that we're going to actively fight and argue. The reason why is because we acknowledge, we understand that homeschooling is life. And it's not just a 4-hour issue a day. We can school 24/7 because everything can be education in the world. And most families recognize that. Most families recognize that schooling is not just for a set period of time. And it's not just your academic bookwork at the table. So we are not choosing right now to pursue this in a fight because we also understand that when you start taking on some of these fights that maybe are not as necessary in regards to what we consider our freedoms or our rights, that can actually have a lot of negative consequences and open up other doors you don't want to open. So those are some of the issues that have been brought up in here. And one last issue is it talks about how independent homeschoolers have to test. In the TCA code, which is listed here, which I gave to you, it discusses testing for independent homeschoolers. Those are going to be the ones who send a letter of intent to the school districts across the state of Tennessee who choose not to enroll in umbrella school. And they send their grades, their attendance, their tests, they have their test scores held there, everything through their local superintendent. The state law says that in grades 5, 7, and 9, that they have to test through a professional testing service, and it has to be one that the LEA approves of, and it has to be done free of charge to that student. Right now, as it stands, it's whatever the public school students test. So if the public school students test with TCAPs, that's what these homeschoolers do. It's not a change, and it's not anything that's new. And the option, if you don't want to do that, is to do what, like I said, the very vast majority of homeschooling families across the country choose to do, and that is to enroll in an umbrella school, which makes it to where you are legally a private school student, and you're not under the supervision of your school district. You follow what their rules are. So I just, like I said, this is something that I'm here because our chapter covers Polk County, along with 3 other counties, and we represent all homeschool students across Tennessee. And to receive an email such as this with so many inaccuracies, and then asking a government entity to vote on a resolution based on this is extremely concerning to us because we hold the virtue and the value of accuracy, correct information, and integrity very high. We've worked too hard for 40 years now to make a good name to homeschoolers across the state, and we'd like to keep it that way. So like I said, I'm not here to malign anybody, and I'm happy to answer questions for anyone who wants to ask. But
this assembly gathered to address House Bill 1214, or we're addressing tonight on the agenda the resolution to the two different things?
We were addressing the resolution.
They will please then disregard everything that was being said about the House bill, because our resolution does not mention it. If you allow me 2 minutes, I'll present it, I'll be brief, and I'll read it, so I will be brief. Madam Moderator, honorable commissioners, thank you for recognizing the hearings tonight. My wife and I moved to this area 25 years ago, and after traveling for some time with our ministry and mission work, we purchased our first home in Polk, Tennessee. Both of our children were born and raised in Polk County, and the dream was to homeschool until they have the proper family values of faith, morals, before entering public school. 6 years ago, we established the Polk County Tennessee Homeschool Network in an effort to help other Polk County families in their homeschooling endeavor. Unfortunately, the limited schooling options under the pandemic, the state of Tennessee, which is historically known as homeschool liberalism, began changing drastically. Online programs were introduced as public schooling at home, knows the phrase, which is blurs the line with actual homeschooling paradigms that's historically recognized. Last year alone, 2 separate bills were written by multiple amendments, and an Education Voucher Act effectively limited the 3 legal homeschooling options in Tennessee down to 2. They did open, indeed, for several days for modifications of Tennessee Code of Homeschooling. They did open, indeed, for several days, which was the request to homeschooling the entire law of education in Tennessee, and began herding Tennessee students into one unified state-funded and state-operated universal model of education. There was even a proposal that was just recognized for adding hybrid public charter schools as homeschool options not under the local education agency. I will repeat, without the consent of local education agency. Where public or homeschoolers, public schools or homeschoolers with low income and at-risk students, defined as risk students, were to belong together with students on parole from any district as the state sees it fit. And we have communication with the president of the said organization from Nashville that confirms this. I have in my possession here, allow me to submit it in a minute. Now please don't take this wrong, but state-sponsored voucher system, government-subsidized boarding schools, children at risk and parole programs under state care all resemble very closely my own public school experience under socialism. When a similar bill was passed in Alaska a few years ago, homeschoolers could not have their Bibles in their homes simply because their homes were now considered public schools. Speaking as a parent to parents tonight, when I say that this resolution draws the line in the sand, we're not running away from accountability or reporting. We report more than anybody else. We simply want our children to have the God-given right to learn simple life values and personal morals at home without the constant threat of new government regulations. Just like the gun sanctuary resolution, Polk County reaffirmed our right to protect ourselves, our land, and our property. In close resemblance, this current resolution of homeschooling seeks to protect, above all, our children and the right to homeschool them, which, unlike the Second Amendment, is not guaranteed as a fundamental personal right neither by the First, Ninth, or the 14th Amendment. For this reason, we ask you tonight to vote in affirmation that in Polk County, Tennessee, we still hold this truth to be self-evident that all people are created equal before God, and this includes homeschoolers as well. Thank you for your consideration. May God bless you.
Do you know of anything else? Or do we have questions, comments?
Are we doing our normal statements like from us now? Or, okay, so I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way at the front, so I guess it's a good thing we did it. I just want to, I'm gonna apologize in advance on how I vote, because I've said this from day one, not everything gets in the packet. I know things happen last minute. It happens all the time. But when it comes to vote on something legal or money, I'm gonna pass, and I want you to understand why I'm passing. It's because I didn't have time to do research on my own. So I don't just get up here and vote because somebody tells together, so when I pass on things, you know where I'm coming from.
You know, we can also table this to next time and give everybody time to look at it.
I mean,
Absolutely.
because I just
Because
think
we
we're
do
not
have
doing
new
any
information.
I feel the
justice
same way,
or
I
due
mean, I don't
diligence
know
if we don't
exactly
do our
everything that's
own
going on.
research.
Right.
So, that's my thoughts, that's my opinion.
I'm
Budget
sure-
amendments and stuff like that, that's the norm. We
Cause
can
I
look
sure
and
would
see
not
where
wanna
it's-
vote for or against the wrong thing here, I'm for homeschooling 150%. But I don't
You know,
know.
just some of this stuff we didn't have, and I will say, you know, the whole thing, Greg, you did call and explain yours as to what it was.
Mine wasn't in the
But-
package because of, we had to depend on some information from the state, and they were closed because of the weather, so.
But you explained what it
Yeah.
was, and so if I needed to do something, but when it comes to the legal part of stuff or money, I need to be able to do my own, so I know.
So
exactly how
are we good with just tabling this and let everybody look at this new information we got?
It's just whatever everybody wants to do, because
What do y'all want?
there's half of our agenda items didn't have half of this stuff, like updates and stuff is fine, budget amendments is fine, that's pretty standard, things change, and you can see, we're just moving money here to cover this expense or whatever, those things are not a big issue, but some of this other stuff,
Yeah, I mean,
Might
some
be.
of it, you know, when it's added for our district and we have no clue what it is, because there's no information, and I mean, it's really hard for us to sit here and decide what's going on with our people, because we don't even get phone calls and tell us what it is, and we get no information in our packet.
I just wanted to let everybody know that's why I asked, if I'm asking, so.
So would
I'd
you,
say table it.
you wanna table it till next, that way everybody can kind of do some of their own research? Okay, all right, so we will table this one to the, February meeting.
It's like, there's like 5 things on there that didn't have stuff, so I don't handle each of them how you want to.
Okay. All right, there's that one. All right, anything else? We good? All right. Approval of minutes of previous meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carver.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Josh Davis.
Yes.
Ricky Harden.
Yes.
Kelly Morgan.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes. All right, approval of the reports of offices.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carver.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Josh Davis.
Yes.
Ricky Harden.
Yes.
Kelly Morgan.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes. All right, we have got a book of notaries. We have a Kylie Bowman, we have a Victoria Holmes, Paula Burris, Jackie Russell, Madison Stringer, Jennifer Weaver. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve them all.
Second.
Any discussion?
I thought, was there not another one?
Do we have another one?
I thought we had six. Is there one handed out today?
We had a whole pack.
Oh, pack.
Yeah.
I went and got
I think that was 6.
Yes, we
Was
did.
that, yeah.
Count 6.
Yeah, that's six.
6.
All right, any discussion? If not, roll call.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carver.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Josh Davis.
Yes.
Ricky Harden.
Yes.
Kelly Morgan.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes. All right, now we're gonna move to budget amendments. 26 and 27 are in 101 general. Line number 39,000, for $2,000 is going to 519-00331 for legal services, also for $2,000. We then have another 39,000 of 3,025 that is going to 58-190-309, and that's developer contracts for 3,025 also. Also, we have the budget amendment from the sheriff for office, LE supplies, and other at a total of $7,500. And it is going, $7,500 on that. And then also, out of 101 is maintenance or repair and tires at 2,000. So we've got 7,500 also on that. I think, is that all we've got there? Those three? I'm confused, should that not be,
75, it's got 2,000, it's got total 70.
that's not,
I know,
if that doesn't,
Oh, that comes up like that.
yeah, it comes up a whole lot, you know, it doesn't come up right.
Which one?
This is 24.
That's 75, I know, but then it's pulled up as 2,000. And then it says total, so
Right, it should be 8,000.
it may not.
It's got 5,500 for maintenance and repair and 2,000 for tires, so that's 75.
Well, this up here comes up to 75 at the top, don't it?
And the bottom comes up,
Bottom,
to there's
you got 2,000
5,500
at the
for
bottom.
maintenance and repair, and then 2,000 for tires, so that's 75. It's just, she just not got it lined up. They balance.
I want to see this right here.
Oh, I know what, they're taking a little bit out of two different lines and adding
Yes.
in
Oh,
one line
yeah.
to the bottom to get to that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can see that other, it's just
So
not
it's-
lined
it's
up.
shifted
The
over here.
amounts are, the amounts match.
Okay. I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's okay.
Right.
All right, do we have a motion to accept these?
Move to approve them all.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Keith Parker. Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carver.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Harden.
Yes.
Kelly Morgan.
Yes.
Ron Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent. Yes.
All right. Budget amendment for the Polk County School Board. Who has that? Is anybody here from the school?
They didn't turn any.
They didn't turn it in? Okay.
She's got that as a permanent placeholder because of some issues that come up through this last, fiscal year.
Okay. All right. We've tabled the resolution for that till February. All right. We have Mr. Michael Head here tonight, about a land purchase. Can you give us some information? You care to?
If I may.
And I apologize, but this is an issue that come up to IDB for a while.
Yes.
And it's supposed to come through IDB to us from what we passed a while back. He's not supposed to come to us and then go back to IDB. If I'm not bad mistaken.
But I
Well, I understand.
thought when we passed that, they had to come to us.
It has to come through IDB and to us. IDB
Okay.
is not that.
Or second, down the
And IDB is, my understanding, already talked to you. Has IDB not made an offer back without a home?
I don't have any, recollection that I spoke to anybody. I've conversated with her just a little bit. I've not heard an answer of accepting anything north, south, east, or west.
Okay, IDB has heard this request, a couple of months ago.
I mean, my,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Head has not come to the IDB board to any of the meetings I've been to.
And he did make a request, one with building a home there and one without.
We've had a request through, Buddy Haynes said that he had talked with somebody making an offer on the rest of the land in the industrial park, 5,000 an acre. If he was allowed, if this person, and I don't know if it's Mr. Head, but if this person was allowed to build a home in the Ducktown Industrial Park for 3,000 an acre without a home.
Okay, so it didn't come from him, it come through.
No, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but I didn't really know who to go to. I've been trying to find somewhere, and I want to build my shop. I'm a logger and a tree service guy. I want to build a shop there, and I would be interested if I could build a home, I would build a home there and live there as well. But if I can't, I'm still interested in moving my business there. But if, that was the offer I made. But if I need to go through that board, I'd be more than happy to go through that board first if I need to.
I thought you already had, and I apologize.
I
was
had
there
no.
when this was discussed.
Probably do it. Probably do it.
What was discussed there, but I didn't know, I thought it was in.
So we can, Ryan, you can talk to him and get
Yeah.
it to where, okay.
we'll talk afterwards.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Like, next time something's put on the agenda, like for the third district, can you at least reach out to us? Let us know what's going on instead of no info being in there, because I mean, you know, it is our district, and if someone has a question about it, we have nothing to tell people.
Absolutely. And I apologize for that because he talked with me, so that was my fault on that one, definitely. All right. We have Railroad Authority presentation. We have Mr. Allen.
So our interest started with a ride up to the river gorge, and some conversation that I had later with Mr. Andrews, that we'll talk to you later, about the economic impact that having more rail excursions through the river gorge would have on Copper Hill. So that's our interest in, you know, digging into it. It's my belief from reading the laws that as far as the IED board, if there's any future industry, that they would have to have a rail authority in place in order to get a spur if they require it. I'm gonna let Mr. Andrews talk now, he knows a lot more about it than I do.
My name is Tim Andrews. I'm with the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, and I think some of you might have been on the train ride we did back in December. I met a couple of you on that trip. In addition to running the Railroad Museum, I'm involved with the Hamilton County Railroad Authority in Hamilton County. The county established that railroad authority about 20 years ago in order to facilitate funding for industrial development such as what the W plans on the old Army ammunition plant. Rail was a major piece of attracting VW to that site. There are a number of grant funding programs within the state that require a rail authority to be the vehicle for that funding to come to either a industrial development project. The county has actually built through the authority several sidings for industries in Hamilton County, maintains that ownership for a period of time, so that it's a publicly owned siding. It also helps to pay where you are on a class 1 railroad like CSX here in Polk County, where they have to do certain work to install a switch or something. That can also go through rail authority, where direct funding just cannot go to a corporation like CSX or Norfolk Southern or something like that. The state started establishing rail authorities back in the 1980s. A lot of small rural communities were losing their rail service due to deregulation of the railroads. And so the authorities became part of the state law. Originally, you had to go to the legislature to get a specific rail authority set up through the legislature. And after about the third one of those, the state decided there's a better way, so they created a section, separate section within the PCA, in what they call Title VII. This simply says, if you want to have cost of that rehabilitation. Within Tennessee, there's a set amount of money each year that's distributed between all the rail authorities based on need. In the case of the most recent study that was done a couple of years ago, the line, all the lines across Tennessee were evaluated against certain standards that Class I railroads use and Federal Railroad Administration uses to improve them, not necessarily say they can't operate or aren't safe or whatever, but what does it take to move them to the next step? The line here in Polk County was identified as if we use about $3.3 million. That's against an entire state need of almost $300 million. So typically Polk County would get a percentage, about 1% of the annual funding. That funding has been about $20 million. Again, tied to these fuel taxes, if you were a lawsuit, the railroad fraud, that's going to come down to a smaller number each year. So, but even still, to be anywhere from $75,000 to $200,000 a year could be used to improve the old line and make it even better than it is already. Other funding programs through TDEC, ECD, development for sidings or other repairs for the industry that wants to locate, like, right here on CSX, that funding would also come through the program. So that's kind of a quick overview. Obviously, you might have, this is the first time, probably lots of questions. I wouldn't expect to answer all of them in my quick, time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions or certainly come back or whatever works.
But we had talked about rail several years back, the situation where you had really bad weather coming into the county. You had weather damage to the rail line. Who would be responsible for that rail authority? Would the money come from the state? Would it come from us?
It would depend on the circumstances, typically not from the union. You would never, if you all didn't want to put money in the rail, run to the rail authority, you don't have to. You're simply a conduit for funding that may come from other places. In some circumstances, FEMA might step in and declare a disaster area, which represents state money, but it doesn't direct you to money. Typically, the railroad operator provides, last time when that happened, how many years ago that was, tornadoes and that was all paid for by the railroad operator. Every dime took the line back together by the railroad operator. And that can all be spelled out contractually between the rail authority and the operator. And also in your commission resolution, you spell out the terms and conditions. For instance, there is a section about condemnation in the state law. And Hamilton County will put that up. You won't accept that. And the commission has to go down to condemnation. So they basically away that section of the rules. So the authority for the commission can pretty well set the rules on what they want the authority to do or not.
Is there any other businesses want this, to put money in this, to get this going now?
Not
You
that I'm
know
aware
where-
of, no. Not that I'm aware of. We talked to a lot of people, but there's not a lot of industry on the line. Primarily, it's for passenger service.
Oh, but I don't know where it went in, but everybody else does to Copper Hill. You know anything about Senator Lord or Denali?
Who?
Senator Lord or Denali?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Senator has the train to haul biosolids.
I don't know anything
Well,
about that.
they're suing the city of Chattanooga. They're in a lawsuit with Chattanooga.
I don't know anything about that, I just don't.
I don't have any more questions, but this is another issue that came up right after we voted last time. There was an accident on the line, it involved a passenger vehicle. There was a lawsuit thereafter. I know an attorney out of the administration showed up here in a copy of the rail authority that we had passed. Randy Rogers was his name. And he was downstairs, I was here. And explained to him that we didn't pass the rail authority a month prior, 2 months prior. And I seen it in the paper, y'all have to know, Randy, you did. I said, McMillan, I think, did pending us passing the same resolution. And so he went to McMillan to pull out the case. But in a case where there's someone hurt, by having a rail authority, what danger are you in on being sued in that lawsuit?
You would be, for, again, a couple different reasons. Number one, going back to that was a grade crossing accident that happened in this Haskell Street campground. Both the Overhill that owns the line and the Tennessee Railroad Museum carry millions of dollars in liability insurance. And so the lawsuit came against, and was basically handled by our liability insurance
that though, if that was the case, then they wouldn't even come then, whenever that was.
Well, Randy was here.
Yeah,
And if
I'm
you
not-
know,
I'm not
Randy-
saying-
you know Randy Rogers, well, he passed. Randy was very, he had a habit of suing counties at different times. And, I mean, it's, he was a good lawyer. He was, but he was very thorough. He took it away from him. He was sure about showing up. But he had every intention of naming Polk County, and he had every intention of top of the bill.
Well, two things that I can think of. Number one, this particular railroad doesn't ever go into, McLean County, so that would have been a part of the rail authority, it couldn't have been anyway, because the rail line doesn't go there. It stops short of the county line, there at Delaware. So, again, if McLean County is looking at creating a rail authority to be involved in this, the line doesn't go there, so it really would be.
That version had them as, they had some boats in that rail authority, if I'm not mistaken, in the past. And they were actually, they were boarding something, the train or something there in county.
Well, you go way back, and
That's when this was happening.
I worked at Jeff and Stoveworks at one time, and back then, they were running the.
When it first started.
That's right, they were able to board at the depot.
And then when it
And that's
quit
when this
that,
happened.
That's 30 some odd years ago.
and when it quit that, that's when they quit, they also never brought it to the attention that this whole train ride was in Polk County, Tennessee,
Sure.
and not McMinn County.
Well,
There's
there's-
people that rides up and down that line, and when they get off, they don't even know what county they're in.
Well, that's.
I know that for a fact, they don't even announce it. They don't tell it, they don't announce it, and that's been one of my pet peeves with this the whole time. I mean, and I'm not getting into my pet peeves, but, yeah,
I'm gonna say that
yeah.
30 years ago, and actually,
Yeah.
one of the very first excursions that this elevator ever operated, started in Chattanooga, came to Athens, came across the Etowah, went all the way down to Copper Hill, got back to Chattanooga about 8 hours late, well after midnight, they canceled the Sunday trip because there's no way they could turn the train around that fast. So, then the next move was to come out of Etowah. CSX doesn't even let you run their line unless you have about $200 million worth of liability insurance.
Right.
I can tell you how much 25 million costs you,
Right.
which is obnoxious to begin with. If you go to
My
200
husband
million-
was the track inspector for that line for 20-something years,
Okay.
for the old line.
Okay.
And so, anyway,
So,
and I'm proud it's been saved. Now, let me say that. I'm more than happy. I'm glad that that's been done.
I will say I'm not an attorney, not consulting attorneys in the room, but in all honesty, they would probably give you a better idea about that issue of liability. I don't believe there is any. I think that's well covered, and just like in Hamilton County, the railroad there, Enterprise South, is owned by the city and county, is basically under an operating agreement that holds the city and county harmless through that contract, and is defended by the railroad doctors. So if somebody did come in, and attorneys essentially come looking for a place where they think they can make a case, okay, particularly on railroad, this is something called the Federal Employment Liability Act, as opposed to workers' compensation. That's a act, that basically the railroad employee has to sue to get benefits if they get hurt. Okay, now, that doesn't count here because this is not a common carrier railroad, it only counts on CSX. So I'm just saying that attorneys by nature, they think there's a fee to be earned or percentage or something, will investigate what those options are. And once they get some of that boilerplate that says that you're holding the city or the county or whoever harmless, if that could even be found that there's a liable case. Well, let's just say the state sends $100,000, even the state contract has things that restrict the state's liability. Okay, so there's a series of contracts that are put in place all the way through this process that the rail authority would have to vote on and agree to before they can even enter into that contract. So throughout all these contracts, there are all sorts of language that the attorneys protect those people who don't want to be involved in that liability. But again, the county attorney would look at it, probably could give you a better answer than that tonight.
Can I
I
ask
guess
what,
I'm confused. I know a lot about a lot, but not railroad. Okay. So, what are we, is this just a presentation? Are we expected to vote? What are, the reason I ask this because obviously there's nothing in the packet, so.
I was going to ask you to explain, because there's some questions, I think.
Yeah, my purpose was to put it in front of you for you to consider, not tonight.
So we can
Okay.
start
Some
checking
later.
into
Yeah,
things
absolutely.
and going forward.
So I would assume you'll give us something at some point,
Yeah.
some information in the packet.
So I'll help Ms. Ryan.
We'll work with that, but I just wanted it in front of you so you could start considering it now.
Okay.
You know, it's we've got some of the business owners in Copper Hill that joined us today, and it's gonna be a huge impact for them economically if we
So
can add.
what's the huge impact if our lovely friend starts bringing in biosolids?
It's not ever been mentioned, and it's a
What?
passenger
It's
rail.
not been mentioned,
It's
but what
a
if it
passenger rail.
But does the road authority, does it have a?
When the CEO owns it, so they can say who goes on it through that.
Exactly.
Well,
what
they
we
say-
know.
Is there a
That's the
chance
problem.
of
That- yeah.
commercial?
Can you limit passenger rail only?
Yeah, so you could, yeah.
But it's
That's
not-
all, that's all, you know, in passengers, you have to keep all the some airport out of there. I think they're going to be comparable, but that's not already exception. Okay, so we, in an effort to not truck all that iron ore back out, before the border.
It's just unsaid.
Yeah, some of that was shipped by rail, we putting it all on the road there.
What's the difference between Oklahoma River and Hiawassee River?
The roads are heavy rivers, so.
So what if that train goes off into the river right there as it goes through the
Well,
mountain, and that ore goes off into that water?
We have to distribute.
Then our Amish people in trouble.
Well, I mean, right now that can happen, yes, somebody walked in and offered to buy material that's up there.
They're already buying. That's why we're unsettled.
And it's being looked at.
Yeah, and it turned over.
And they had no way
So, I mean, you see why we're unsettled about it?
Now, as far as.
It's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be the copper ore. He's already fixed the tracks going into the copper hill. Why did he spend all that money fixing the tracks?
Guys, get your respect for
Traffic
recording and
sales
the proceedings here.
will
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't care, because I've already checked.
So a lot of them says we go through the contracts, and that's a negotiation with the owners. TRM will operate whatever makes sense for everybody. Obviously, to keep the line up, if you want to keep it operating, it's required to be ready. You could say not only is it reliability, it's big reliability on the people, is there are just like the accident they had or anything else, this is a handling of the material. At this point. I think the rail authority won't change that one way or the other. If anything, it might provide money to make it better.
Who determines what goes on the rail line? I understand that the tracks will carry certain things, but it's the rail authority, correct? It's
No,
not the
rail
county.
authority doesn't really have any say in that either, the owner does.
The owner does, but
Yeah.
not the county commission?
No.
Okay,
It's
that's
pri-
the
it's private
primary
owned
issue
property and-
I have. And to answer the legality, yes, the county can be liable.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, the county can be liable, so can the town, so can the residents.
There's a well-known law, I might come to this, what she's saying, there is a law where the county commission can regulate activity in the county if it poses a legitimate safety concern. I think that's what she's referring to. I don't know if it would apply to this or
I
not.
think you're talking about liability, you're talking about regulations.
Yeah, where she was saying we could regulate, and there is instances where the commission can regulate stuff based on public safety. I don't know if it's falling under that or not, but that is a true statement.
I've got
think
one
that
more
if-
quick, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna make a statement that if we want to discuss it or something, that maybe we kind of get with the county, with an attorney, the county attorney.
And we may need to do a workshop, bring them in, and sit down and talk to
And
them.
just hash out any of the issues, and questions, and make sure we're on the same
Process.
Yeah, I do know that the economics of it has been brought up. Has the IDB board, voted on this, or had
No.
voted on this herself?
I told him what I was doing. But no, they told me there was nothing on, no.
He stood up in the announcements and said he was coming. That was it. Nothing was discussed, period.
Exactly.
just for information purposes, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm doing here is providing, or attempting to provide the information at this point.
I represent the Overhill Board, and our only interest is passenger travel. And that ours comes under our umbrella of economical development and tourism. And that's the only thing, regardless of the
from the grants is to have a rail authority established. They can't do it, they don't do it with the county commissions, they only go through a rail authority.
But that would just be to improve the rate.
Correct. Make sure you can drive the trains properly.
So what it pretty much amounts to is it helps the owner of the rail to get funding to improve the rail.
Correct. Maintain it.
And then you can add more trips versus what you've got now, just a couple of trips on the weekends, and you could add.
Part of it's driven by, I mean, you can go this month in January, this
Right.
way you show, it's kind of like the rafting season,
Yeah.
we do have a season there. Our fall colors. and
So they would go from
Well, you're
Delano
pretty much,
up.
though, you're running a full scale, I mean,
Yeah, we started in March.
if you had the funding is not necessarily gonna make you run more trips.
Not necessarily, what
Yeah.
it does do is it does maybe improve the speed you can operate at in
Right.
some cases where it's
Right.
one five.
Where you got jointed rail, welded rail, straight rail, the blah, 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 the blah, all the rest.
Improve it all.
Someone knows
I know the rail.
There's tons of tracks you
Yeah.
can do, so
Gotcha.
I think it opens up too for, you know, some of the things that we've talked about is, riding the rail up and spending the night. You know, and some of the Airbnbs up there, I understand that they may put some, rooms in the old bank. Don't know, but just, you know, that'd be a good addition to what it is today.
And that would be done by state funding.
No, that is.
No.
just the fact that we're able to maintain what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's a long trip, both in miles.
It's a very, very expensive rail to keep up.
And the pandemic.
Very.
didn't help out with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it never ends with issues.
And
And that line is unbelievable.
You said there's 3.3 million anticipated.
They identified 3.3 million, and that's to bring the track up to what's called federal, FRA class 2, which it has to do with the number of cross size per mile, it has to do with the surface lanes, and it does set limits. And the second biggest piece of that was bridge work, we improved the line, a lot of bridges on that line.
That's one of the biggest
A lot of
issues.
wooden trestles, and over time, they deteriorate, and, you know, have any assistance to keep that up. Anything's gonna get that line eventually, just like the weather takes out a bridge, actually did, and tree fall on a bridge, and protect the place where you're running.
That's one of the things he mentioned, that 3.3 needed to get the line over to.
No, that's to continue the line at the two things. One was to a higher classification. And the FRA has classification 1, 2, 3, 4, that all are related to speeds they can operate.
15 mile an hour to 55 or 60.
Yeah, and then the second part of it is that we're trying to get railroad up to what's called 286,000 pound axle loadings. So that's the measure they use. A lot of those bridges up there, the wooden trestles, are 263,000 pounds. Doesn't mean you can't handle a passenger train, but that's how they set the funding, just using those criteria.
And like I said, the 3.3, you know,
Yeah.
if there's needs on that line, and rail authorities put in, and they don't address those needs, that's why we're not liability comes back.
No, the line is inspected twice a week to the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration standards. If that line does not meet those standards, then we will be operating. And the state comes on a regular basis, the FRA comes for their own inspection every year. They run specialized equipment over that line, the condition of the track, everything that goes with it. Either party said that they shouldn't run, we would be running.
Do you all, does your railroad company itself have its own private inspector that runs it
Yes.
twice a
We have to
week or
have
3
4
times a
people
week?
that work here
Yep.
and do nothing to take care of that line.
And then FRA comes in?
We spend probably somewhere for $300,000 to $500,000 a year on that line every year now, because it's just what it takes to keep the line open. And that can be from cutting trees, fixing that bridge that hits by a falling tree. Falling trees are our biggest problem up there, honestly.
Yeah.
And of course, the national forest won't do anything about it, or can't, whatever. You run into some trees, and you gotta tell them that they bought. It does happen.
Now, ticket sales, are you the entity that does the ticket sales for this line?
Yeah, the Railroad Museum handles all the tickets.
In Chattanooga?
Yeah,
About
it's
4 years
all done
ago.
on the computer someplace.
Somebody come to us about 4 years ago for the, I know it's sort of, so it's been away, it ain't, Overhill came to us, what was that, it was about 4 years ago. They made a presentation, and I asked a question that night, you know, obviously everybody in Polk County has an issue, the whole trip, the excursions in Polk County, but when you buy a ticket, Hamilton County gets the sales tax where they sell the tickets to do.
We don't pay sales tax because we're a nonprofit.
Well, they get some amusement tax or something over it. Well, that guy told us that night that they did, and he
That
promised.
makes it go over there. We own property on Highway 411, we pay property tax on it every year. We pay property tax on the locomotives that have been here, we pay that PPT tax to the leasing fund. We pay sales tax on everything we sell in Polk County as far as gift tax, gift shop, food, anything like that. But admissions to nonprofits are not taxes. I don't pay Hamilton County tax.
Well, the guys in Overhill, he said there was a tax on tickets, and the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum got it. There's on the amusement tax, you know, because he even agreed to go around.
There's a section of the TCA, you can find it, that says that nonprofits do not charge sales tax on admissions. And that's the aquarium does not charge taxes on admissions.
Well, he just told us that night they did, and he was gonna try to,
Let us start selling.
he was gonna try to get it where we could sell them here in Polk County, and he acknowledged that.
You can, I mean, if we can have another outlet for selling tickets anyway, we'd be happy to have it. We don't sell except in the fall, every season. We wish we did.
It's like the issue between Polk County and Overhill goes back so far.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's all I'll say.
I think our only concern is we don't want to end up like East Palestine in Ohio.
Sure.
We do not want chemicals shipped
I
out.
don't either.
So that's where we're coming from. I am 110% behind the businesses getting more passengers. My concern is anything that's going on the property that's on Copper Hill Industries and the shipment of anything that is other than individuals coming to and from Copper Hill, and solely giving a entity that responsibility and that onus concerns me a lot, because we've had a lot of problems with it. So I trust our county commissioners. I don't know about this
You don't need
industry.
from Adam's house.
Well, and it's not even that. It's, we vote for them. We have a rapport. With a corporation, they don't necessarily care about our community. And that is our concern, particularly when we're talking about also sales taxes and wanting to support these businesses. If they start shipping anything other than people in and out of Copper Hill, it's going to be a problem for our businesses and for our community. So that is where we're coming from on that. We want Polk County to start getting the recognition and the money that it deserves, and our businesses to grow and flourish. And that is the #1 concern coming out of our community right now.
We have no interest in hazardous material.
Would they put that in writing if we adopted it, be limited to
People.
people only?
I think we can discuss that, yeah. I'm not gonna say yes or no, because I'm not the board or the Overhill or myself.
I think you said everything's negotiable. Was that not what you said? And when it comes to stuff like that.
I think that'd be a good first.
Well, they have, they're in the rail cars stored up there, because they empty rail cars, power cars, the sorts of rail. It has no hazardous material involved in it, it's an empty car. So I think before we simply say, blanket, I don't want hazardous. I will say that, because of what's involved in hazmat, all those things. If somebody came to me and said, I want y'all hang hazmat, I would say no. If I want to store 50 inch box cars, I'll show you X number of dollars a day, and a percentage of that goes to the Overhill budget, other things. Some of that money, maybe all the Overhill, Clifton County, whatever, we pay them on we use that money. We use that to offset their costs and put our people safe. So, before we simply say, people only, I think we need to
Most
be
certainly, there would be some negotiation agreement. I was making it very literal
Yeah.
in that sense to kind of make the point, because of all of the things our communities had to deal with. But moving forward, obviously, there would be negotiation. And we want you guys to flourish, and we want business in our community. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on that
You
has
won't get
made
any
us.
disagreement from me about hazmat, I'll just flat out say.
But we just have we don't want additional mining in our area. There's a lot that we're very cognizant of in that particular part of our community.
Okay.
I did say so.
Give y'all some information, see if
we got one more quick question.
Yes.
My name is Bill Allen, and I'm a citizen of Polk County, and I support our county commissioners 100%. But I live by Copper Hill Industries. And for months and months now, Copper Hill Industries has been repairing the tracks that go from the main tracks into Copper Hill Industries. And my thought is, why would anybody spend all that money to repair those tracks? If you go by there and go over that bridge, you'll see all those tracks are repaired. They've got stuff to funnel the water and all kinds of things off the tracks, away from the tracks. So my concern is, I understand what you're saying, but my concern is that to make sure that, my thought is, why would that Copper Hill Industries spend all that money to repair the tracks from the main line into Copper Hill Industries if he didn't have something in his mind to use it for? That's my main concern.
You'd have to ask him, I guess.
I
Is
guess
this right
I
at
would.
the bridge that you're talking about
Yes.
right now? You know, the state is about to replace that bridge. And so a lot of the work that's going on is to build a bypass or the work of the highway bridge. on
It's not the
Copper Hill.
highway bridge, it's the little railroad bridge that goes
Yeah,
into Copper Hill.
but they have to move, they have to build a bridge beside the existing highway bridge.
Mhm.
Okay, TDOT is already work on that, so they can widen Highway 68 and replace that bridge through there. And that may be what you're seeing. I, honest, I have
No,
no.
it's the tracks being worked on. I've seen these are instruments that only work on railroad tracks. Okay.
The only equipment up there that works on railroad tracks is ours, and it's all.
It's not there anymore. It comes and goes.
Well, that guy's
I'm not
right
lying,
there,
I've seen
cleaning the track up through there, spraying, trying to do killing it and everything. On the company, on the buddy, and so-called buddy hands cooperative.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on.
I'll let you sit down.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Hatcher, Buildings and Grounds Committee.
I just put on there to place on the buildings and grounds.
Anything?
I know we talked about it before. So, some of the things that we talked about in the Buildings and Grounds Committee was, setting aside some money for the survey on what's known as the law property. We also, and then one thing I did bring up at night, I talked to Danny about it, that to even look to do, if you wanted to move forward, you'd have to have a land impact study done. Got something over there, I talked about before. I know you all got to have a meeting up there, which you missed out on, so I don't know if y'all still want to go that route, and have some input as far as what we talked about today.
Being him, track. Keep standing on what that being in the track, that community center. And that really is a perfect, good place. And it's accessible, the only thing is no sewer. There's water and no sewer. But the property, you're talking about the fire property, I mean, that would be great if we could get it access and pads, paved, everything. You probably, okay, what kind of money you get it out?
Now, I do know today, Dan Howe contacted me, he was trying to get an email sent, as he pulled in, he was literally pulling in his out. And as far as that goes, the access, I know I've heard a lot of different things. My understanding, the TDOT will only put an access for the county.
County,
If it's something the county is beneficial to the residents of Polk County, I will make sure that that's, because I've heard, stuff being said, but we can, and it's not gonna be a problem to get that curb cut for the county if we want to go that route. But if we're gonna sell that property, I don't think TDOT is going to go forward. So that was one of the reasons why we talked in the survey, if we wanted to look at cutting off some of that, I think TDOT's gonna have to have something other in their hand that says,
That we're not gonna sell.
there you go, and this is gonna stay.
Stay in the county.
Yes.
We ideal place to put it out. You can get it to vote, you can get it better. And I don't really have a problem with somebody else coming in too. It's like, once you got something there, you got access to it, and the rest of it take care of itself.
So like I said, we just talked about that, if y'all wanted to do that, put some money around, if wanted to skip over that, that was one of the things, so. That we talked about bringing it back up, or just wanna have another meeting this time.
I say, look what you think.
Whatever y'all want to do, I'm
gonna
gonna
go
go
out.
on y'all's lead on this.
Will this month?
Well, maybe, May 10th. I'll get you, or y'all just, when y'all can, just call me, we'll get back together, whatever good for y'all. Okay. We'll get it together.
You call me, brother, make sure you keep that.
from your land.
I think it's gonna cost so much to excavate, because it drops off and there's a wetland also in the bottom. I don't know what they do with it.
I wish we could get it worked out where we can sell it, be able to sell the place, I don't know if that's possible.
Is there an easement to it off London Mill Road? Do you know?
Taylor,
Telephone.
that's the only access that I know for the way it comes down, that's small.
That property, that property comes in there, part of the government comes in there.
It meets London Mill Road.
Makes a lot of railroad come right there, it's just high level of the road. And like I say, you need to talk to Glenn Spring, talk to them. Cause that's their property. They got a gate there, but they got that Taylor pond going, and they got a water plant, treatment plant. So you have to talk to them and see if they can move that gate, if you have perfect access.
I just know, like I said, there's been a whole lot of talk that T-Dot will grant a right-of-way easement, and they've even said the past, all this and that. I don't know. That will not happen unless it is something that's beneficial to residents of the county for that curb cut to be installed. And that's, but absolutely.
Would be a benefit to the county for sure.
But what T-Dot's looking at is the traffic coming in and out of the way the clover leaves and everything.
I understand that.
But that was also,
It'd be great
when we
if
did
you
have
said-
there,
Might buy it without access to it, but it'd be hard.
Well, that's the reason I asked if there was an easement off London.
Yeah. I'm sure they are.
one of the other things, and I can grab 11 and get mine done, and we move into the room designations. We went around, we looked around that day, Cleveland State was set up in the little courtroom, and I know that, there was a meeting with the Building and Grounds Committee, there was nothing ever designated or set aside for the Veterans Affairs Office. And so I want to pull 11 up if I can, and have it designated as what is known as the library room and 307. That is currently where we had to move Cleveland State to. It's these other two rooms down. It actually works a little better for them. Then it also goes up to number 10 for our resolution, and I do apologize that not a lot of this is in your package, but this was something that kind of happened, and when I had Cleveland State inside trying to get to their classrooms and trying to get stuff moved around. So all the surplus stuff is the junk that's piled in a lot of these rooms. Whenever the archives room was created here, it moved all of the materials that was from my office to these rooms. And I was not aware. And so, and we had to move all our stuff. So this would be to designate the Cleveland State rooms, and then for the materials that are in the county executive office to be stored into this other room so it can keep properly locked up. The one other room that is here, the reason why we don't want that designated is because when the auditors come in, like they come in and stay in our office for how many months, Katrina? 4, 5 out of the year? They like to be able to, yes, they like to be able to come, and then they come out over here. So I think a lot of confusion has come about because of some things, and so I just like to be able to set up those rooms as rooms for Cleveland State. Cleveland State will be housed in this courthouse until they outgrow those rooms. What rooms? It's known as the library room and room 307, if I'm not mistaken.
Library, which one's library?
We got library on the door.
Not a number of those.
There's not a number on it.
Yeah, no, I was asking which one of them, there's two rooms behind the chairs.
Correct. So you have the auditors in the first one,
Yep.
and then the next two, those next two that are side by side.
On the left-hand side?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, but that's the only way I know to address it, but that's what's on the door. But for those to be set aside as rooms for Cleveland State.
You'd already talked about that before, so you're just changing.
But I wanted to be sure because there was confusion, because there was stuff done by the Buildings and Grounds Committee that didn't come before the actual commission. And so that's how come I'd like to have that done. So Cleveland State can set their computers up, they can have their doors locked, they can get GD to people.
Right.
I agree, there was no other issue. There was a grounds committee we talked to.
And that comes back. Yeah, I'll come back to that one. Just a minute. If I can get my bill, my Cleveland State, that's number 11. If I can move that one up, then we'll come back to designations. Somebody make that
Make a motion
Just
to
need motion.
designate those two residents.
I second it.
Thank you.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Keith Parker,
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carver,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Harden,
Yes.
Kelly Morgan.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent. Yes.
All right, now going back with what John Hoyt says, so with having the Veterans Affairs Office in the little courtroom, I'll need you all to designate that if you so choose to, so I can then move forward, because Tim's needing to get some lines and stuff moved. Can't move without being able to say when the auditors come in, how come you done this?
Yeah.
So it's to keep everything proper for me, so there's that one if you also choose to do, I know that's where John Hoyt's going to go.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna speak on this real briefly, because I was kind of told that I probably should. So I'm wondering, bottom line, I support veterans, I have family members that are veterans. But, and I'm sorry, Greg, but the Buildings and Grounds Committee apparently gave permission, to the Veterans Affairs Office, to the chaplain. That's fine, except that room is one of the biggest rooms in this courthouse for one person who's probably not gonna have more than 3 additional people in it at any time. Now, I understand from Bills and Grounds Committee that they talked about putting a wall. Here's the problem, and really it's not, well, it is a problem. There's been 3 times last year when the beer board met, they had come up here and either the Republican Party, Democrat Party, or the planning board would be in this room, which we are required to publish on beer board, the location, room number of the beer permits. Fine, so we come up here, we ask if anybody's here for the beer board, and we tell them if anybody comes in, we're going to be straight across the hall. The requirements are we have to have room for the public to be in those meetings. Planning board, beer board, IDB board, county commission, and any of your committee meetings are required to have room for the public. We can go into the Chancery courtroom anymore because it's locked up and they took the entire room. Like I said, that's one of the biggest rooms in this court. So, where do you want the beer board or any other additional boards to meet if there's something going on here? It's got to be a room big enough for them to meet. And it has to be within a reasonable time when they get here and see that they moved in another location for them to make it in time for the meeting.
Can you not have like a calendar where you know the beer board is
The
this
calendar,
day?
beer board is ad hoc.
Yeah.
We only meet when we have applications.
Or maybe
So that
have
goes,
some sort of who's will be in here at that time, like you can
that's what I
meet
had,
on a different day.
that's what I had. And I had, so in my case, I had to take the state down for this. And then there's times where I have this, yeah, I have a list, and it's all, we have them all year long.
But what John Hoyt's saying is though, he don't know when he's gonna have a beer board meeting,
Correct.
correct?
Right.
So that can throw everything out of
Right, but you're
bounds.
not gonna be like, today's the day I'm gonna have a beer board.
No.
Well, we put the paper.
Yeah.
Right.
We
Well,
put the
we
paper.
also had an issue too. What meeting did we have that we should have, somebody in here? And we had it back up there.
Yeah.
But
I
the
think
real
that was a
issue
budget
is,
meeting.
the
Yeah, it was a
the
budget
commission
meeting.
has to vote to put any office holder in any location as their
I
property.
mean, nobody's arguing that, we're just trying to see if
The
there's a
question
solution.
is, the Building and Grounds Committee, I think, was told that there was gonna be a division on it. That's an entire courtroom.
So
For one
where
board.
would we go for executive discussion if we were in a commission meeting?
Well, we have to,
You
well,
know, that's
executive
everybody
committee
is.
we can go with all these
That's what
officers.
other counties do.
because
They
it's
don't
not
have.
required to have one, you know.
And like John said, you know, the wall, it's a, you know, we would just have to be, so like in our office, you know, to help put up that wall, to be able to show where our county council, we just have to have something that says,
Where everybody's.
where everybody's going. That's part of this with the auditors. And so we're just trying to get everything cleared up because if that's fine, but we just need.
Well, could your office be made for a beer board meeting?
It's not big enough.
If I'm there.
Oh,
It is.
Oh, yeah,
We
you
had
have
that-
to invite the public.
Brooke, we had that meeting. I mean, We told them to get with you about that.
What I was wondering, so is
Did we
there,
not say that?
But as far as actual
Did he
commission,
get with you about the roof?
no, so we had Cleveland State with it. And you remember in a county commission meeting, I had said that Cleveland State was gonna have offices here at the courthouse as well as the community center.
Right.
And on our calendar, that what we have that goes through, and we sat down with Cleveland State and asked them, you know, what days would work for you? And Cleveland State took the proper routes, contacted Lois, and I can send Catrice, you don't care to get it, but it's listed through the year right now on the 2024 calendar. But by moving Cleveland State, it's not gonna affect them, they can just move down. But it's also to get everything, so like you're saying about the wall up, well then, whenever we have to have that done, and things done of that nature, I still have to have this commission's vote or approval before you all put somebody, so it comes back through the auditing process of why that money was spent and how come it's done. So it went through the committee, it went through the Buildings and Grounds Committee. Discussed, but it has never been formally brought before the commission to give that authority. And so now, before I can do some of the things that need to be done, I've got to have that authority voted on by you all.
Half that courtroom is totally in that report. Or planning board meeting in most cases. If there was a division wall put in there, when you walk in the door, everything to the right-hand side of the VA office. There was a secondary door that would come into the left-hand section. I mean, as far as a single office.
What's the best option?
is there a reason why, I don't know what's available and what's not, because I'm never here during the day. So is there any reason why you couldn't go in the mail room and us find somewhere for the mail? Different, is that room still open?
If where the mail room.
At the VA, I mean, if that's an issue,
So,
I don't know.
that courtroom over there,
Yeah,
is
so-
it big enough for that?
He's got home health, health.
so, yes,
Online health is
Well, what
part
about the
of
room
it.
next to the mail room? Because it used
Mail's
to
on
be
wheels.
just.
No, it's,
so, so in the mailroom, where you kind of have the refrigerator, the
Right.
microwave,
Right.
that's where we do try to have meals and things,
Right.
whenever we all come together. Right behind it would be the restroom, and then the room behind it is kind of the storage area right now from where everything is
Where
going to be put
everything
at.
just ends up.
That's what used, when I came in with no jail.
Right.
And then, you know, and
That's
so.
why if that's an option, that might leave this open if we just have to have a second place as a backup to me, if that's doable for you, and let's find somewhere else to store for Jake's office.
Well, the only reason the move already happened is cause, which I was getting quotes to get a wall built. Quotes were coming in very slow, or quotes were outrageous, and I wasn't gonna bring them to Robbie when $8,000 to build a retaining wall. That's ridiculous. 2 weeks ago, pipe busted in my office, flooded carpet salad. I couldn't sit in there anymore. So that's why I went ahead and made the move up there.
A division wall shouldn't cost that much. I mean,
Oh, no,
probably
I know it shouldn't.
What, 26 foot wide, maybe?
I think it was about 24, 26, 10
So
foot
they're
high,
going-
wasn't gonna go all the way to the ceiling with it,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's,
because it's tall ceiling.
that shouldn't be.
Does it actually have to go all the way to the ceiling
No,
though?
he has to have, you have social security numbers on your file.
Yes.
I'm certain. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
to
but can
be
you see over a
considered-
wall that's 10 foot tall without going 12 or 14?
Have a health, cost of health program you got coming in.
Telehealth?
Telehealth, therefore,
You gotta keep it private.
it's gotta be somewhat private, but now most of these would be in the evening, like the planning board meets with your board.
Right, and
That'd be in the
yeah.
evening, so there wouldn't be anybody in there more than likely to tell. But you could go up.
Because, I mean, the reason I said that was I remember seeing in some old courthouses that I've been in, they've done a petition wall, but it wouldn't be all the way to the ceiling. And I think they partly done that to make the flow of the heat and the air also flow.
Because I don't have a drop ceiling over there like this one does.
Yeah, it's high. And so, I mean, that's why I was asking if that would be a possibility, not going all the way.
Like John Hoyt said, I mean, most of the meetings are gonna happen in the evening time. Just be a solid wall, no door or anything on it, so
Yeah.
it'll keep.
But I mean, but
So you're not
privacy
planning on
wise,
using the whole road?
No, I mean, I mean, I'm still moving stuff up there and whatnot, but, yeah, I mean, our original intention when I came to the building committee was pretty much half in it. So that way, the far end could still be used for meetings.
So,
Is there another office, what do you do? Is there another office open that you could use to fit your needs?
Not without a lot of clearing stuff out. Like Robbie was saying, there's been so much stuff, probably 20, 30 years of stuff just.
I mean, we can do that. To make it easy, would you be willing to look at another office instead of building a wall in this big courtroom?
I can't, I just need some privacy. Like I said, the VA's wanting to start this telehealth here, for veterans that can't get out, make it Chattanooga, Athens, or even out in Middle Tennessee to appointments.
What I'm gathering is, someone's wanting to save this bigger room from being petitioned off and making it smaller.
I'm okay with it just being big enough for the,
But-
we have the board meetings.
I think that's a good compromise, let's get the wall built.
Yeah. Now, Randy Yanks had a secondary room downstairs on the floor too. It's past the trustee's office on your right.
yeah, I think his auditors normally use that room.
They did, and it was a fairly good sized room. Is it not anybody's side of the
It would just save money.
You talking about painting?
To my knowledge, I don't think it's in there, is the assessor's stuff is
The
in that
assessor
office.
uses
I
it.
say their auditors still use it, but
I think they use it, they've got maybe their mapping stuff or something in there.
I'm not for sure what all they have, but there is that one.
So I guess, do we, I'm just trying to figure out what we want to accomplish.
That's
So, are we wanting to vote on that tonight, figure out where to put Tim, or do they need to be in?
So I've gotta have something for Tim to be able to get what he wants done. I've got to have something for you all as a county commission to designate those rooms. So that way we can move ahead and get forward. If he wants his lines moved, if he wants those things done.
So do we need to do both on the process that he needs to get bids and go from there, because he thought those bids were too high, right?
Well, if it's anything under the bid limit, according to there's no even.
Right, but everything he said was over the bid limit, right?
Yeah, the only one I got that was under the bid limit, he came, eyeballed it, gave me a price, but never got back with an actual quote.
So I say, start that, that way we can, if it's under the bid limit, let's do it, get it done, and.
Are you making a motion?
Make a motion,
Are you
Kelly.
making a motion?
I will make a motion.
I'll second.
second, third.
Did you get all of it? Right. The motion is, if it's under the bid limit, right?
I still need.
For his office to go there. There you go, there's the motion.
And that way, if we get through the other, I just gotta have something before I start.
I make a motion that you move the VA's office into the old council courtroom. As you walk in the door. Everything to the right.
Already motion on that.
She just made that motion.
Everything to the right hand side of the front door.
Yes.
Throw that in. Right hand side of the sun.
Something more.
When you walk in the front door, everything to the right hand side.
Left side, courtroom. All right, are we done with discussion?
Yes.
Tim, would that be enough room?
Yes, sir.
Everything to the right hand side on that?
Yeah.
All right, when you're done with your notes, you can do roll call.
So we're just making the motion that Tim gets to the right hand side of the door, that's it, that's all.
That's his designated spot.
Keith Parker,
Yes.
Greg Brooks,
Yeah.
Danny Parker,
Yes.
Danny Daly,
Yes.
Mutt Taylor,
Yes.
Christine Harden,
Yes.
Ellie Morgan. Yes. Rob Hittinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Just lay your stuff in the packet, Robbie.
Well, that was all on this meeting.
It was, I'm just kidding.
So now, what was in the bag is your surplus materials, so
This is number.
10.
Yes.
So, whereas the listing of properties fulfilled its intent, usage, longevity, and service to the county of Polk, continued usage, has become suspect with expected outcome, with such property being included as the following on the page. 6.5 sheets ventilation, wooden rack, 1 wooden podium, 2 5-drawer filing cabinets, 2 metal shelves, 16 chairs, 22, and any other law of the state of Tennessee, that the county executive is hereby authorized to sell, disperse as, in part or in whole, the following properties which are deemed to be unusable and/or surplus by the Polk County Commission, with such being made at any legal sale or discharge qualified under the Chapter 5 of the Tennessee Code annotated, or for any other applicable law or allowance of the state of Tennessee for disbursement of surplus damages or unusable property. This resolution shall take effect with its passage and the public welfare requirement.
The motion will approve.
One more, yes, I'm sorry.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mush.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Parker.
Yes.
David Davis.
Yes.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Harden.
Yes.
Kelly Morgan. Yes. John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin.
Yes.
Well, the reason why you don't have anything as far as bids, because no bids came in. That's the second time that I have put out the air monitoring system, unless you all as a commission want me to do that one more time.
What's that company that Bradley County uses?
I don't know that I spoke exactly to them, but I have spoken to 4 different companies. And the issue is you have the companies that produce the air monitors, and then you have those that install and or monitor. Even though they produce the air monitors, and they can produce them, there's nobody around in the area that wants to come out and look to do the installation, maintenance, and service that will follow.
Who's doing that things?
I'm not 100%.
Well, they still do it. I thought they just did it for that little bit of time.
I don't know Bradley County.
This makes me kind of wonder, just
Yeah.
give it take a little bit, are people afraid to, maybe be liable, so to speak, for the information that these monitors are supposed to provide about it being accurate? Or can they be drugged into a lawsuit if they say it's this and it ain't? You know what I'm saying? Does anybody see that kind of, because what's going on? There's nobody interested in it.
They would love that. I mean, if it went to court, they'd get a premium to come testify, I'm sure. So that's something they would probably want to do if we just find somebody shows interest.
Well, there's
in
something that's going on. I don't know what it is. It's either they're not, something's going on. For no interest to be.
But like I said, the companies that build this,
Can you send me like an email with all those people in it? Because I mean, I would like to talk to them. Those companies.
those that I can find, because there's been some, we don't have caller ID in Florida. And so there'll be a lot of them that will call, and then it'll be Robbie, I'm sorry, at this point in time, my company, I don't have anybody that's willing to do the installation and the monitoring, but it can be made, but they don't do the installation and they don't do the monitoring. But yes, I'll go back and look through those emails and send them to you. But like I said, when you put something out for bid, you're asking them to come to you, we're not, you can't really get out and solicit.
Okay.
But do y'all want it to go out one more time or no? It costs a little over $100 and some odd to run them every time, and that's been twice in the spring. And the reason why I backed it up to the county commission meeting was to give it another 10 days. Just so it would be out a little longer, so it would not be in your packets.
Third district, what do y'all want to do?
What do you want to do? It's yours, tell us.
We've had it that twice.
I got twice the number of those.
What are you trying to monitor exactly?
For the odor monitor.
Odor monitor.
For the, we plan
Wow.
on.
What about the gas?
This monitor is supposed to monitor and tell us exactly what's coming.
What's coming out, what's in the,
What the smell is.
It's a long Friday before Christmas.
I was trying to figure out what the smoke is. I thought something was burning. That's off the side of 64, right below Stillwell's garage. It's smoke on that. I watched them dump 3 tractor trailer loads on the side of the road down there, right above Taylor. Anybody else want to see this? Yeah. I took pictures myself. I wish I had something to took with it. That's a semi with a bed straight up. And I watched 2 more dump. That's smoke coming off that thing. That's not steam, that's
All right.
gas.
We need to go, guys. resolution to discharge surplus property, whereas the following listed properties have fulfilled its intended uses in longevity and service to the county of Polk, state of Tennessee, and the continued uses have become suspect as to the expected outcome with such property following as a 2011 Chevrolet Silverado with 195,000 miles on it, a 2009 Dodge Charger with 147,000 miles on it, 2012 Ford F-150 XLT at 240,000 miles. Now therefore be it resolved that by the Polk County Commission meeting in their regular session this 25th day, January 2024, pursuant to TCA 5-14-108, 1 and 2, and any other law of the state of Tennessee, that preceding property or properties which are hereby deemed to be unusable and or surplus by the Polk County Commission, with such being made at any legal sale qualified under Chapter 5 of the Tennessee Code annotated, or any other applicable law of the state of Tennessee. This resolution shall become effective on passage to public welfare requirement.
Motion approved.
Second.
January 2, 24.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Keith Parker,
Yes.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
James Carter,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Harden,
Yes.
Sally Morgan. Yes. John Pippinger.
Yes.
Lance Grant.
Yes. All right, Mr. Brooks, road name designations.
This is for the Old Toy area, and it just goes to show you they're too old or young to learn something. I've lived in Polk County all my life, and I didn't use Old Toy was incorporated one time, and I had a mayor, and it was, well, Suzanne's here, she might want to tell us a little bit. It was her great-grandfather.
Yeah, it's my great-grandfather, and he lived, just north of where Hardee's is on 411. And he donated that land to, the state to build the road. And so that was supposedly the first part of Highway 411 that was constructed between Atlanta and Knoxville.
And he owned all the land around it.
And, but he had to incorporate and became the mayor so they could get the funding and get it done.
And it was, yeah, it was the first part of 411 paved anywhere, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and he ran for Congress and did a lot of other stuff. And then his son was my grandfather, and he was Justice of the Peace and, led the American Recovery Act under FDR, during the Depression.
There's a,
Yeah, I gave all mine.
who's in the picture with FDR, you handed that?
That is my dad's brother. It would have been the mayor's grandson.
Pretty interesting
I
stuff
love that
to
photo.
look at. This picture of
That was at one.
Roosevelt. That's pretty interesting. news.
Yeah, they helped make sure, like, Polk County was covered during the Depression for funding and stuff like that.
Wow, I appreciate it. I thought I knew everything, and I was afraid I'd get the great-grandpa and the grandpa and all that mixed
Yeah.
up. I probably might say it wrong, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, it's okay. And my dad is still alive. He's, 89, he'll be 90 this summer, so I was hoping he could do it this time.
Okay. This is a resolution.
Proclamation 1, Brooks.
Proclamation.
I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. It's one, well, it'll be 1-1 since it's proclamation.
Yep.
24. Whereas the Polk County Legislative Body acknowledges that the Limbley family is a long-time originating family in Polk County going back 5 generations. Whereas the legislative body is aware that Wayne Hot Dog Limbley is 89 years old and is a well-known community member of Polk County, and that his father, Mark Limbley, served as Justice of Peace for Polk County and was appointed as Director of the American Recovery Act for Polk County after the Great Depression. And whereas the county commission is also aware that Wayne's grandfather, Major Ringo Limbley, owned the property north of the Highway 64 bridge, and in 1925 he helped organize Ocoee to become an incorporated city, which he became the only mayor serving from 1925 to 1929 during its incorporation. During that time, he gave the land for Highway 411 to the state and brought in the surveyors and contractors to build a road. It is believed it may be the first piece of paved road between Atlanta and Knoxville. He also ran for Congress in 1928. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Polk County Commission meeting irregular, Reed says irregular, was supposed to meet last week.
Yeah.
We put it off a week, so. Irregular session is 25th day of January 2024 at the Polk County Courthouse in Benton, Tennessee. That the Polk County Legislative Body hereby decrees that the area of Highway 411 beginning at the entering Ocoee sign on the south side of Highway 64, Veterans Memorial Bridge, and ending at York Road on the north side be named Wimberley Crossing. This proclamation shall be spread across the minutes of the Polk County Commission, and a copy of this proclamation being placed at the Polk County Historical Society.
Got
Second.
a motion and a second down here. Any discussion? Roll call.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carter.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Hart.
Yes.
Ellie Morgan. Yes. John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent.
Yes.
We're gonna contact Dan Howell about getting signs.
Okay, cool.
And,
All right.
Jackie, or the name.
All right, appointment of the Agriculture Extension
We'll send it
Committee
on the
members. Mr.
signed
Paxton.
copy, we'll send it on to Dan Howell.
Yeah, no, he can't say it, no.
We had several committee members on the Agriculture Extension Committee that their terms expired first of the year. And should be in your packet there. We had Candace Davis, Johnny Dunn, Sam Hood, Sheena Hare, and Debbie Davis that expired. Candace Davis, Johnny Dunn's terms, they had served 6 consecutive years. That's by law. You have to take those off the committee. And we've got some replacements for them. So our recommendation now would be that Mr. Hood, Mrs. Hare, Ms. Davis be appointed or reappointed to another 2-year term, and then we would appoint Rebecca Boyd of Ocoee and L.W. Smith of Copper Hill to serve on the Ag Extension Committee for 2 years.
Approved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call.
Keith Parker.
Yes.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Danny Carter.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Recuse.
Recuse myself.
Accuse yourself, yeah, accuse yourself.
mush Davis.
Yes.
Christie Hart.
Yes.
Ellie Morgan.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent. Yes.
All right. Anything else? We get
Well, we done those.
announcements?
But I would like to bring one thing up just real quick, because,
You better
County,
back up.
County Executive Hatcher has asked me a question over and over for the last 2 years. I wondered if you'd ask him that question tonight.
Why I asked if we was gonna have announcement statements then.
What was it you want to know, Robert?
We're gonna have fair.
Actually, we're gonna have a fair this year. The Polk County Fair Association did, and is Mr. Rutledge here tonight? Okay, Polk County Fair Association did sign for August 22, 24. It has been included in Mr. Paxton on use of the show barn, and Ms. Burris on the use of the field. So we're going to have a fair this year.
Two quick things. I first of all like to say a big thank you to Ross Tarver and Tarver Distributing, CG Roxanne and Crystal Geyser Water. When Ross contacted me the other day, I want to be sure everybody understands, that was done by CG Roxanne and Ross Tarver. When Ross Tarver contacted me, he was trying to find somewhere to get a 53-foot trailer of the water in. Those two were the ones that made it happen. They sent their own people up. I was about an hour late to the party, but by 6:15 that night, every bit of the water that was in those trucks and trailers, there was a lot of people came. There were trucks taking pallets of water out of the back of the trucks, but there were so many people. And I remember looking at Ross at one point in time when a person pulled up and said, "My water's frozen at my well. I don't live in Copper Hill, but can I still get water?" And Ross's expression was, "Shoot, yeah, man." I just wanna get you some water. And I'd really like to be on record as stating how much I appreciate Target Distributing and CG Roxanne for their acts of kindness. Also, keep your thoughts and prayers with the Copper Basin Fire Department, the devastating loss of 2 lives that very same morning. I know one of these firemen personally, and I've only known of him, according to his wife, to only have cried 3 times that she's ever seen him cry. And it was after that devastating fire that 2 souls were lost in our county. Also dealing with the fire department right quick. This just came up, and I didn't put it out on Facebook, but I'll tell you all that there was a Department of Commerce, it's insurance and fire prevention grants that were applied for by your fire department. Copper Basin Fire and Rescue will receive $40,720. West Polk Fire and Rescue will be receiving $36,000. And if it's okay with the buildings and grounds committee, I think it's a care, but I'm gonna take the apply for a grant for our courthouse to see about getting some windows and other things done. It's a 60-40 match, not quite as good as some of the rest, but a little bit be better.
We tried that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, I hope we get it.
Yeah, I do too, but I'm really dreading because I know the buildings and grounds committee a couple years ago, we walked around and looked and talked about maybe trying to shrink the windows and things like that because the architectural structure and they want the engineered design of the courthouse to stay the same. They will have to stay the same. But if that don't work out for that, we're also going to do a multi-layer, like sewer pipes that are scalded, that cannot take paper down, they overflow, water lines, those of us that are in here. We know on Mondays when we come in, we got good rusty water, nothing wrong with drinking water, we got record of that, it's old pipes that are inside the courthouse. So we are gonna try to go after those, and that's in Southeast Tennessee, Southern District. I hate that they did go up a little bit on reviews, but we'll use them every time.
I wanna add something real quick, just, give a little update. I've had several phone calls since the course of when I came on. So I'm working, I reached out to Ryan in the city, so we're gonna work on something together, with the red light out here about having a turn-in signal. So if you've ever tried to turn that on when it's going to school or when school gets out, it's an issue and a hassle. So they've been great, Energy Kids have been great, to get that ball rolling. But I did want, because I've had a lot of calls, before I took office, that's what they were doing. So, we'll give an update on that.
Oh, I just gonna say, as soon as I know we're a rough looking bunch, but you got to get your picture made with us for the historical society after the meeting. I thought that'd be a good idea, you think it, well, that is a good idea with the commission and the county there.
Smell pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, anything else?
Oh, and we do have 2 garbage trucks running this week.
That's good.
That's a real good thing. For the last 10 days of the week, yeah, we've only had 1 truck running this week throughout the county. I'm excited to finally have that.
Alright, good
Now,
night.
one thing real quick too. I know I'm a little late on this because we've had a bunch of cold weather, but we may have some more. And if any of y'all know of anybody that is in need, and not people that's just going to bum, that need straw for their dogs, baby goats, anything like that, have them to contact me and I will make it happen.
And if you throw your husbands out, you can make that happen too.